The Borski Slider was originally invented for bonefish, but has quickly morphed into a fly that's well known for its ability to pull picky redfish. This baitfish imitation works well in shallow water marshes and sandy flats when targeting fish with large appetites. Wrap the shank of the hook with your tying thread and bring the thread to the 1/3 from the eye hook. This is where the dumbbell eyes are tied in. Tie in the dumbbell eyes on the top of the shank of the hook. Apply head cement to lock the eyes in place. But what you want to do is figure eight, cross wrapping your dumbbell eyes, and then also tie your thread underneath the dumbbell eyes, and then you will add the cement, whether it be a UV resin or a other cement like such as a Loctite. Bring your thread to the bend of the hook. The bend is where the barb point is, and then cut a bunch of tan extra select craft fur. Measure it against the shank of the hook. This should be either 2 to 3 times the hook shank length, and tie at the bend of the hook. Now mark the craft fur with either a brown or black marker, making sure that the markers are even stripes on both sides of the craft fur. So tie in 3 strands of crystal flash. You could pick the color, but right here I have a tan or copper type crystal flash color, crystal flash. Tying 3 strands on one side of the hook shank, and then I'm going to tie the other three to the other side, uh, so that they line up with the tail. They're on the side of the tail. Tie in a grizzly saddle hackle at the bend of the hook underneath the shank. You try to make sure that the barbs are about to the point length, or just a little bit past that. And when you start wrapping these in, you want to uh, try to fold them back towards the bend of the hook, and you just want to make sure that there are close wraps uh, as you wrap them, so that they are Palmar. It's not a ribbing; it's more like each one's a touching wrap as you wrap forward. And I'm going to keep wrapping the hackle forward behind till behind the dumbbell eyes, but I'm going to leave a little space there so that I can tie in my collar Once once I tie the hackle in place, I'm going to rotate the hook so that the point is up. Since the dumbbell eyes are tied on top of the shank, when you cast this, the weight will pull the fly upside down so that the point rides up. I've whip finished and cut the monocord off. I've switched over to a GPS gel spun thread. This one is so that I could when I pull down on the deer hair, it won't break. So I get a stack of deer hair. It's almost like two pencil widths thick. I measure to make sure that the tips uh, will touch the point of the hook. I'm going to give two tight wraps and pull. Now the now the tips will splay out and they'll ride on both sides of the hook shank. And I'm going to pass the thread through through the butts of the deer hair and pull so that they do like a little bit of a spin for this fly. Then I'm going to move my thread to the other side of the dumbbell eyes. Then I'm going to take more deer here, but I'm going to cut the tips off, leave them at a 45-degree angle, two loose wraps, pull, and the hair will spin. So that's spinning that deer hair. And then I'm going to compress it to keep stacking it, packing it in place. And then I'm going to put the thread in front of that stack, and then I'm going to add another clump of deer hair, about a pencil thick, tips cut, two loose wraps, 45-degree angle, one, two, pull, the hair will spin, and I'll wrap right on through, press it, compact it with my fingernails. You can use a hair packer at this point. But all I'm doing is pressing it to make a nice tight head. Uh, and then I'm going to wrap the thread one more time in front of it. I see that there's a very little space uh, in front right there. I'm going to take a little more hair and I'm going to force it into that one spot. Two nice loose wraps. One, two, pull. This is now filled up that all that space. I'm pressing, compacting, and pulling the hair back and wrapping the thread in front, right behind the eye of the hook. Now I'm going to whip finish right behind the eye of the hook, trying not to get as many some of the deer hair trapped in the head. So I hold it back a little bit. It's now I try with my scissors to cut the gel spun thread. This stuff is really hard. So what I have to do is go in with the tip of my scissor and trim. I'm going to take a razor blade. I'm going to trim it at an angle from the eye hook, the point, the eye hook, and I'm going to angle it towards the dumbbell eye, just to get that as a angle. And then I'm going to do the same thing going up. I'm going to trim it, shave it down so that they're at an angle with the dumbbell eyes. And then on the bottom, I usually just trim it flat uh, with at the same length of the dumbbell eye. But here I am. I'm trying to trim this to give it like a mullet head shape. Uh, little at a time. Just keep trimming, making sure that I don't cut the hackle or the deer hair tips. The deer hair tips are what's going to make this weedless. So I want to make sure that they at least cover the point of the hook. And I'll trim this, keep cutting to make sure that I don't trim the hackle, don't cut the hackle, and try to keep it a little flat towards the bottom of the hook, which happens to be the top of the hook because the bottom of the eyes will turn this fly upside down, sort of like a Clouser minnow. If you don't feel confident using a razor blade, you can just do this with a pair of scissors. In some parts, I'm going to use scissors just so I can get more accuracy. But I'm going to come back with the razor blade and smooth it out. Use I'm using a razor blade holder that Tyrite makes. Holds in the razor blade, so I don't have to cut myself. I've seen guys just bend it in their hands and do it. This is easier for me. I feel better. Also, this blade has been used a couple of times. It's almost at the point where I should be switching it. But let me tell you, a sharp blade cuts even faster, and mistakes can be made. So I just want to make sure that we do this slow. Take your time. Go in with a pair of scissors. Trim it. Normally, I wouldn't be doing this in the vise. I'd be taking this out of the vise and doing it in my lap with with a a towel over my lap, or a lap trap type uh, catcher for this. So these are the type of flies I like to tie when someone invites me over their house to tie with a group of friends. Just love doing deer hair at someone else's house. So if you ever did invite me, be prepared, because I will just tie deer hair flies at your house. Yeah, make sure that as you trim it, you want to make sure that the eyes are being shown through the deer hair. So just try to trim as close to the eyes as possible so that they do show through the deer hair. Not only is this a good fly to fish for redfish or bonefish, uh, up in the east, stripers love these type of flies. So give it a shot if you're in the northeast area or out west. I'm sure there are a lot of saltwater fish that would love this. I'm getting ready to even tie this in as a freshwater pattern for some of the largemouth bass in the lake. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and will subscribe to my video channel and join Fly Fishers International, and become part of become part of the group. Thank you.